Hey guys, I missed the mortar, obviously, in all of my previous videos where I just covered like the crosspathing and kind of the good things to think about when you're trying to pick what crosspaths to make for different towers. So this is going to be a shorter video just on the mortar for how you would crosspath the mortar. What do you do? So, I've already gone over the mortar, but just to kind of reiterate how it works. We have the top path, which is all about increasing the damage per shot, the radius per shot, the pierce per shot, as well as adding a stun at tier 3. So this is your kind of slower, hard-hitting path, and it has the highest damage potential when talking about grouped balloons because of the high pierce and high radius. If you go in the second path, this is all about just attacking faster, really, aside from heavy shells. So we've got faster reload, rapid reload. Then at tier 4, we have artillery battery, which is just triple speed, so a lot of speed. And then we obviously have the ability, which is just a full map stun, and it'll last for a long time, so very good stun. The tier 3, this just gives bonus damage to special balloon types, basically. So ceramic balloons take a lot of extra damage, and fortified balloons take like 1 extra damage. Lead also take 1 extra damage, and it allows you to pop black balloons. So instead of so you can pop leads, and instead of them going to blacks, they'll skip that black layer entirely because they do 2 damage to lead and they also pop black balloons. So that's nice. Your bottom path, this is general like utility and support, basically. So we've got accuracy, just makes it miss less. Burny stuff, it sets everything on fire, which is just like 2 extra damage. And signal flare, this gives the mortar camo detection, and it also makes it remove camo from anything it hits. And there's the knowledge that allows you to eventually upgrade this to hit DDTs, I believe. So your shattering shells, this is a more advanced version. It removes all balloon properties, not just camo. So the main thing about this is, yes, it will remove regrow, which is nice. Yes, it will remove camo still, which it already did, so I already knew that. But the main thing now is that it removes fortified. So this is mainly handy against Moabs. It doesn't apply to the biggest Moabs, like it says here, or but the biggest balloons, but it will apply to regular Moabs and BFBs. So that's an instant 200 damage to Moabs, since fortified is double health, and an instant 700 damage to BFBs. So this is a good one to kind of target the entrance of the map, and if you have, like before things get hit, because there's no point kind of removing the fortified once they've already been hit a lot. And it's also good to have maybe a second one in, like, also near the entrance of the map, but in a bit of a better spot where there's like a turn or something, if you can afford it. Personally, that's what I kind of like to do, because ideally you want to have one just aimed right at the entrance, basically hitting everything just as they spawn. But that can miss a lot, so unless you want to keep on repositioning it pays to have a second one in a better spot, like at the first bend generally, because you don't want to have it any further back than the first bend, because if it's more than halfway through the track, then you're really wasting all the potential of this thing. And then your Bloon incineration, which just means, so your burny stuff upgrades to 5 damage per tick, so that's 10 damage per burny stuff, and it also now does 100 damage to Moabs per tick, so that's 200 damage to any Moab class balloon at all. So one application of burny stuff will completely kill standard Moabs, and it will take off more than a third of the health of a BFB. So you only need to apply twice to take off 600 health. Wait, no, 400. And then, and then another one, you get 600. And then, the 4th hit will completely destroy that layer. But on the first tick, so it'll do that for a little bit into free play as well. So anyway, actually going on to the crosspathing. So it's pretty standard really for the most part. So your bigger blast and balloon buster on the top path will give anything a little bit of a bigger blast and +1 damage. So that's hard to pass up. And your faster reloads, that increases attack rate, that increases DPS, so that's also hard to pass up. Your increased accuracy is not really that incredible. It helps, and if you're on like a straight line map, or if you're using like a lot of mortars, then it definitely comes in useful there. But it doesn't really add much. And when you're comparing it to like faster reload, well, so your faster reload is gonna hit more anyway, so it makes up for the misses, and your bigger blast is gonna hit more because the blast is bigger, so that also makes up for misses. So you're not getting much there. What you want, you only cross path this mainly for the burny stuff, yeah. And even at that point, so burny stuff doesn't stack. It hits and it applies fire, and then once that fire wears out, it can then have fire applied to it again. So essentially anything that is on fire is immune to fire. Immune to burn. It can still be hit by straight up fire damage, like a ring of fire, but it can't be reapplied with new fire until that wears off. So, biggest one, you pretty much want to go for the rapid reload here. There's not many situations you're not going to want the rapid reload. In fact, the only time you would maybe consider burning stuff here is probably if you're using it in a situation where you only needed it to pop down to a green balloon, and then the burning stuff would finish that off. But yeah, if you're not really going to be in that situation, so rapid reload, pretty much the deal there. And that goes the same for all these paths, especially when you consider that this is the stunning path, so faster firing means more stunning. Easy. So your middle path, this is actually the single target DPS path. So the top path is better for like overall damage per shot because of grouped balloons, but against a single target, the middle path will do more damage. And that's just because the artillery battery is super fast attack rate, and you definitely want to go balloon buster here. So ignoring the third path again. And this is just because like you're attacking so fast that you're really hurting yourself because of not being able to reapply the burning stuff, which is the real strength of the bottom path. So like, let's just try this out here. So if I go artillery battery and burning stuff, and we'll just send a Moab. Can't really tell there. I'll just actually boom. Okay, so there. So the burning stuff wears off around that first bend here, like this spot. I'll just put the sniper there for reference. So that's where the burning stuff wears off. And I forget. Okay, so let's just do that again. Boom. Okay. So I'm aimed roughly there. Sell this. And the burning stuff should wear off around... Yeah, around... Okay, a little bit after the sniper that time. So let's try that again. 4... So yeah. So I only applied it once, obviously. I expected that. And if we actually count the shots that time, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think about 11 shots hit it. So that's 11 shots, or sorry, that's 10 shots that did not apply burning stuff. So I only got 2 damage out of that. If I went to the top path, then I would have got an extra 11 damage out of that. So yeah, pretty simple. You'd really always gonna go top path if you're cross pathing with the artillery battery, because the attack speed just negates burning stuff basically. There's no point getting it. Yeah, Popinor, the ability does not benefit from cross pathing either. Unfortunately, I think it'd be cool if it could have like apply burning stuff or balloon buster, but but burning stuff would probably be extremely laggy with applying fire to everything on screen constantly. Yeah, It's probably better it doesn't really. But yeah, it doesn't. So the ability, yeah, there's nothing else to consider there. Now, middle path is the only one where it's kind of interesting. And even though it's interesting, I probably still would always take the same pick. And so, if we're looking at like the burning stuff, the signal flare, and the shattering shells, it kind of pays to hit more targets. So that's the main thing. You want to hit more targets. Damage per shot isn't as important because you're slow firing. You're not really hitting many targets, so your balloon buster's not that important here. The bigger blast could arguably be useful, but really faster reloads is going to hit more things. It's gonna with your increased accuracy and your faster reloads combined is gonna mean that you can like maximize hitting one spot, basically. And that's useful when there's a lot of balloons, but as I said, the burning stuff does not stack. So if you're kind of already capping and hitting every balloon at least once, there's not much point to this. So yeah, it's weird, it's awkward. I would probably just always go rapid reload. It doesn't really matter, I think. In fact, you might just not crosspath it. It depends where it's positioned as well. If you've got a shattering shells placed at the entrance, I would definitely go faster reload, because that just means you're more likely to hit all those fortifieds before they sneak through. But other than that, it's not too important. Your Bloon incineration, this really benefits from hitting everything once, again, but mainly the Moabs. But that's not really a problem, because Moabs are so big, you're pretty much always going to hit them. They're like, the hitbox basically means that if a projectile's in that area, then the projectile's going to hit the closest things first. And Moabs are always the closest thing. I don't know if you've noticed that. That's actually a trick you can use with Moab Maulers. You set them to close instead of strong, and they'll always hit the Moabs, because the Moabs are always closer, because they hang off the track. But regardless, so bottom path is the only one that's debatable, but it's not because both options are good cross paths, it's because neither of them are really that good. So really, yeah, it kind of comes down to the situation, but in general, like I said, just always go rapid reload. So anyway, that's pretty much all my thoughts on the mortar. Again, we'll just do a quick test here. So this is my preferred top path. This is my preferred middle path. And this, set to here, is my preferred bottom path. Just go faster reload. So if I send a bad, and we'll just send all that. May as well use the ability. I'm not using all these to their fullest potential, of course, but just as a quick general test. So this one stopped hitting, this one stopped hitting, this one has now stopped hitting. If we clear them. So my artillery battery actually did the least damage. My top path did really nice. Man, actually, scratch my DPS thing I said before. That goes up to tier 4. The tier 5 top path is actually very good single target now that's been buffed. I hadn't thought too much about that. But yes, so tier 4, you want the middle path. But since the tier 4 middle path, the tier 5 middle path doesn't get a damage increase or anything, it only gets the ability, the tier 5 becomes better single target DPS on the top path. So yeah, but then Bloon incineration obviously did more than double that. So your Bloon incineration is going to do the most DPS against Moabs, but then once they break down, it really loses all power, and your biggest one becomes the best at cleaning up all the remains. So yeah, this was this was kind of an off day, so I thought, hey, let's do this. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you around.